This episode contains descriptions of violence against a child, systemic racism, and failures by law enforcement to bring justice to missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls in what has come to be known as the Highway of Tears. Listener discretion is advised. A teenage girl stands at the side of a quiet highway. She's dressed for a party, not a protest, not a funeral. A night of celebration lies ahead, but she never arrives. 10 months later, her body is found in the woods near an airport runway, close to home, but too far for justice. This is the story of Ramona Wilson, a girl taken too soon, and a family who refused to let her be forgotten. I'm Mark, and this is Northern Dark, True Canadian Crime. Smithers, British Columbia. It's a postcard town tucked into the Bulkley Valley, ringed by glacier-capped mountains, surrounded by thick forest, and cut through by salmon-bearing rivers. The air smells like cedar and snowmelt. The streets are quiet, the sky wide. This is Gitxsan territory, unceded, sacred land. And this is where Ramona Lisa Wilson was growing up. 16 years old in 1994, Ramona was the youngest of 6 children, Gitxsan by birth and by heart. She was warm, funny, and full of life. Friends called her bubbly. She played outfield on the local baseball team, sponsored by the Native Friendship Center, and worked part-time as a dishwasher at Smitty's, the local diner. Ramona was known by those closest to her as kind, thoughtful, and quietly strong. Among her friends, she was the responsible one, the calm presence who preferred to observe but never hesitated to speak up when something felt wrong. Her family described her as joyful and generous, with a deep love for others and a quick, infectious laugh. But Ramona had plans bigger than her small town. At just 12 years old, she told her mother, Matilda, that she wanted to become a psychologist. She hoped to be the first in her family to go to university. Even as a teenager, she was already the kind of person others turned to, for advice, for comfort, for understanding. She had a notebook where she wrote poems, reflections, and dreams. She listened more than she spoke, but when she did speak, people listened. Her notebook was a quiet expression of a rich and thoughtful inner world, a place where she made sense of what she felt and imagined what her future might be. At home, she was deeply loved. Her mother, Matilda, often called her the sweetheart baby of the family. The two shared a special bond. Saturday, June 11, 1994 was graduation weekend. Teens were out celebrating. Ramona was in a good mood, singing, dancing around the house. She left around 9:45 p.m. Her plan was to meet her best friend, Crystal Grenke, later that night at a dance in Hazelton, but she never arrived. Crystal thought Ramona had gone to visit her boyfriend in Morristown, a village between Smithers and Hazelton. The next morning, Ramona's boyfriend called looking for her. By Monday, she hadn't shown up for school or work. Her mother went to the RCMP. When Matilda reported her daughter missing, she was met with indifference. RCMP officers told her to give it some time, just wait. They suggested that Ramona had probably run away due to problems at home and would turn up soon. Refusing to wait, her family immediately began searching on their own, calling friends and relatives, and driving around town hoping to find her. On April 9, 1995, nearly 11 months after Ramona disappeared, 2 boys were out four-wheeling along Yellich Road near the Smithers Airport. One of their ATVs got stuck. While looking for something to free it, they walked into a wooded area and made a discovery they would never forget: Ramona's body. She was found behind the airport, just a few meters from Highway 16, the same stretch now known as the Highway of Tears. Yellow rope and nylon cable were found beside her. Her sweatshirt and leggings were nearby, but her pink and white sneakers were never found. The remains were so decomposed they could not confirm a cause of death. Police later told the family they believed she had died shortly after she went missing. In January 1995, 3 months before the discovery, the RCMP received an anonymous tip that Ramona's body was behind the airport. They searched, found nothing, and dismissed the call as a prank. But the April discovery proved the tipster was right. The call was never traced. From the beginning, Ramona's family felt ignored. When Matilda reported her daughter missing, she was told to wait, that Ramona had likely run away and would turn up. It took 10 days before the RCMP began searching. Brenda Wilson, Ramona's older sister, later said, "The RCMP didn't help. I don't recall them searching." The family searched on their own. They put up posters. They called friends. They contacted the Missing Children Society. And Matilda asked police to search behind the airport, the very place her daughter would be found. After Ramona's body was recovered, RCMP followed leads: a rumored party, possible sightings, a group of men in a truck. But no arrests were made, no names released, no one held accountable. In 2005, the RCMP launched Project E-PANA, a task force created to investigate murders and disappearances along northern BC highways. Ramona's case was one of 18 added to the list. The officers involved say the terrain makes these cases hard to solve. One investigator called it unforgiving territory. It's vast and unpopulated. It makes murders difficult to solve. They also acknowledged the role of racism. One officer said, "Along Highway 16, we have vulnerable women because of what the Canadian government did to Indigenous peoples." Each year, around the anniversary of Ramona's disappearance, her sister Brenda organizes a memorial walk in her honor. Together with family members and supporters, they retrace the approximately 7-kilometer stretch along the Highway of Tears to the place where Ramona's body was found. "It's a painful reminder," Brenda says, "of how many Indigenous women are still waiting for justice." "I believe if she was white, she'd still be here," Brenda says. For her, racism isn't an abstract idea. It's something she experiences daily. "It's just normal, an everyday thing. It's a part of life for me," she reflects. "But it's not something I want our future generations to live." Brenda refuses to be silent. "I'm going to walk proud," she says. "We don't need to be treated like this. We have the right to be here and to be safe." In the years after Ramona's death, her name became part of something much larger. Brenda took up the fight, not just for her sister, but for every Indigenous woman and girl along that highway who never came home. Besides organizing the annual Highway of Tears Memorial Walk for her sister, Brenda also played a central role in the 2006 Highway of Tears Symposium held in Prince George. This unprecedented gathering brought together families of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, advocates, Indigenous leaders, police, government officials, and community organizations. The goal was to raise awareness and demand concrete action to address the crisis along Highway 16 and beyond. The symposium resulted in 33 formal recommendations focused on prevention, support services, transportation access, education, and systemic reform. These included calls for improved public transit along Highway 16, culturally appropriate victim services, safe housing, and better coordination between policing and Indigenous communities. But despite the urgency behind them, most of these recommendations have still not been implemented, nearly 2 decades later. The lack of action, Brenda has said, reflects the same systemic neglect that allowed this crisis to grow in the first place. Brenda and Matilda both testified at the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls Inquiry. Matilda told the commission, "Not a day goes by when I'm not wondering how long she had lived before she died. I could have easily gone down and been in the gutter forever and never come back out, but I have faith and hope." In 2019, the inquiry called the violence what it is: genocide, the result of colonialism, racism, and deliberate neglect. Still, no one has been charged in Ramona's death, and the cross where her body was found remains untouched, standing alone in the woods. Ramona Wilson was supposed to graduate. She was supposed to become a psychologist. She was supposed to be the first in her family to attend university. She was supposed to be here. Instead, her story echoes through a country that still hasn't answered for her death. Her family continues to carry her. They walk for her, they speak for her, and they remember. I'm Mark, and that was episode 5, Highway of Tears, The Murder of Ramona Wilson.
And I'm Leah. Thank you for joining us again.
Ramona's story, it's heartbreaking, but it's also frustrating, because so much of what happened after she disappeared, or didn't happen, just didn't have to go that way. Her family did everything right, and they were ignored.
Yeah, from the start, they knew something was wrong. Matilda went to the RCMP right away. And still, nothing. 10 days. That's how long it took for police to begin actively looking for her.
And months later, they get a tip. Someone anonymously told the RCMP that Ramona's body was behind the Smithers Airport. They searched, didn't find anything, and decided the caller was just messing with them. But that same area, that overgrown stretch behind the airport, was exactly where her body turned up. And Matilda said something that really stayed with me. She said, "I keep on thinking to myself, it's a local person that could have done this. The horse trails behind the airport aren't easy to navigate for an outsider. From the highway, it isn't even obvious how to find them."
It's chilling. And she also talked about this feeling. Like maybe someone hit Ramona by accident. Maybe someone was drunk. And instead of helping, they panicked, she said. I still have this strong feeling that a drunk driver accidentally hit her when she was hitchhiking. It's a strong feeling that I can't get rid of. Who am I to say that that's what happened? I'm not an investigator to prove that.
She's not guessing. She's trying to make sense of something that no one has been able to explain.
And it didn't just stop with Ramona. In the time between when she went missing and when her body was found, 2 other girls were also found murdered near Highway 16, both of them just 15 years old. And not long after Ramona's body was discovered, another young woman, a 19-year-old college student, went missing from a gas station in Terrace. She was never found. All of them were Indigenous.
And that's why we're talking about the Highway of Tears, and why the RCMP eventually launched what's now called Project EPANA. It's a task force created in 2005 to investigate unsolved cases involving women and girls who went missing along BC's northern highways, especially those believed to involve hitchhiking, remote roads, and vulnerable targets. EPANA includes Ramona's case, but it hasn't brought answers. Not yet.
And it's important to say, a task force isn't justice. Ramona's family still doesn't know who did this. Her mom still visits the cross near the airport. Brenda still walks the highway every year. And Ramona's mom hasn't stopped carrying this pain. In an interview with the CBC, she shared a sweet story about her and Ramona. She recalled how she used to lie awake at night talking to Ramona after one of her nightmares. Ramona would climb into bed with her, even though she was a teenager, and Matilda would say, "You have to sleep now because it's school tomorrow. You just like my bed." And Ramona would just laugh.
Yeah, and even after everything, Matilda still hasn't given up hope. She said she prays every day. Even if justice doesn't come in this life, she believes the truth will come when she leaves this world.
And she still keeps Ramona close. In that same interview, Matilda shared one of Ramona's poems with CBC. And I think we should close by reading it.
Yeah, let's do that.
This is the poem shared by Ramona's mom. As I look out to the bright blue sky this chilly autumn day, there's no way I can thank the Creator, no way to repay, for the lovely sights to heart's content that He has let me see, for joys and laughter that I've lived, and the love that He gave me.
Thank you for reading Ramona's poem. It must have been difficult for her to share that.
I'm just glad her mother shared it with the public so we can see what a beautiful person Ramona truly was.
This is why it's important we get this crime solved, to bring peace to her family. If you have any information about Ramona Wilson's case, no matter how small, please call the EPANA tip line at 1-877-543-4822 or contact the Smithers RCMP at 1-250-847-3233. You can also submit a tip anonymously through Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. Every tip matters.
You can follow us on X at Northern Dark TCC, and if you found this episode meaningful, please share it. Please consider leaving us a strong rating on Apple Podcasts. Your support helps keep victims, like Ramona's case, out there and the story alive. This is how pressure builds on those who can bring change, to make change happen.
To everyone listening, thank you. This podcast exists to bring light to cases that need answers, or that have left deep wounds in their communities. Next week, we head to the Maritimes to revisit a 2002 shooting that left RCMP officers dead and a region in shock. Until then, take care of each other.